closed. The Need for Speed series from EA is a racing game series that straddles the line alternately between really hardcore simulation-style racing games and much more arcade-style, sort of fantasy fulfillment racing games. We discussed one of the previous ones.
Undercover.
Undercover, yeah. We did, yes. And that was definitely more along the lines of the, action film style chase racing game. The newest Need for Speed, which is called Shift, is the game we're going to be talking about today, and it is definitely the simulation side of racing games. A type of game that I personally don't play very much. I'm not a gearhead. I'm not into those kind of games.
I get into them randomly every once in a while. Gran Turismo 2, in it, was getting my licenses, like all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And then my buddy Joshua and I got locked into, we can't even remember what it was. I don't think it was Project Gotham. I don't think it was a Burnout thing, but we would do like the, oh, you know what it was? Burnout, because they had the crashing thing.
Well, Burnout's certainly more of the arcade style, which is
No, but we got into one where you had to like get your licenses for the next level, but then there was some crashing
I'm sure
thing.
you'll think of it.
Yeah, no, I won't, because I've been thinking about it since we started playing it.
So this Need for Speed Shift, simulation style, you compete in a number of different kinds of races. There's these profile points that you can accrue, which are kind of like kudos from the Project Gotham game, where you, based on...
Or underneath my bed in college.
It still hurts. It still hurts. They are specific kinds of racing style achievements that you can get points based on aggressive driving or precision driving. But the big, I think, coolest feature of this new game is the cockpit view mode, which is the default mode of the game, and it really is the most robust way of doing a cockpit mode that I've seen yet. And I think that's kind of the trend in racing games, is really making you feel like you're in the car. Did you like this game? Did you enjoy it?
I thought this was one of the best race car games I've ever played. It was gorgeous, gorgeous graphics. It's one of those games where like you see it starts to play and you go, I literally had that moment where I was like, is this a cutscene? Or should I be playing, like when they're starting you up and like talking you through, and it feels like this could either be in game or not in game, like and then this game to me is like Fable.
Okay.
With the breadcrumbs.
The line, yeah, because it's got a line.
Line made me the best I've ever been at playing a race car game.
Yeah.
Because I don't race cars.
So describe this feature.
So the feature is basically, it's this green arrow that kind of gives you the best, most optimal drive line on the course. And if it's green, you can accelerate and follow it. And as it starts to turn yellow, it's okay, you should start not accelerating as fast as you're going. And then when it turns red, it's like you're
going way too fast, brake.
You're going way too fast, you're gonna fly into the thing. And it's a way of expressing how you should drive a track. And I always found
it's like a training mode almost.
It is, but it's a training mode for every track, and then it reminds you what you're supposed to be doing. And they always try to do this with like the little mini map, like, oh, here comes the dog leg, or here comes the hairpin turn. But for the most part, I'm going, you mother,
just hold down the gas.
Hold down the thing, and then it's like, is that wall coming? Yeah. Whoa, and then it's like, skip, So it really gets you into that thing of, I want to learn how to do this the best way. It's super fun. The cars are gorgeous. There's a bazillion of them, and I'm sure other real simulation race car games have the same breadth that this thing does, but I also really like the idea that they could reward you. You can progress through as like, I'm going to do this as technically the best technical way I can do it, really trying to avoid cars. Or you can go, you know what, today, I bumped a car, so now I'm Mr. Bumps a Car.
Yeah, and then rewards you, like, oh, you're aggressive.
Both. Yeah, so I really had a blast.
I know you were digging on this game too, yeah?
Yeah, I like Alex. I mean, I
like Alex too, isn't this guy?
A similar history with racing games in that, with the straight up racers, the simulation racers, I got really into a Gran Turismo, one of them back in the day, and also Project Gotham. But then from then on, I could never get sucked back in, and it was just arcade racing. I played quite a few. the arcade racers. And I love Need for Speed Most Wanted. I think that's one of the best out there. And of course, the Burnout games. This, by far, is it's definitely 100% the best simulation racing game I've ever played. Now,
as somebody who has played very few of them.
Exactly. But as somebody who plays almost every arcade racer that comes out, and it definitely seems like they sort of dip their feet in both pools to make you enjoy this in a new way. The cockpit view, as you said, is gorgeous. It's amazing that it's like, you know, some high-end cars, the faster you go, your audio, your levels of your radio raise up so that it sounds the same. Well, similarly, the cockpit view, the faster you go, the foreground loses focus and it just sharpens up on your windshield so you can see ahead. Despite that, how awesome it was, I just found it much more comfortable to play in the no cockpit view, just the ground rushing, because that is the fastest mode. That is just, you feel the speed and you can see everything. And it was glorious. The graphics, glorious. That line, what the racing line does is it finally allows you to feel like a race car driver, because it gives you just enough to know how to do it, and that way you can think the way a race car driver thinks. So for the first time, when I was in that pack of cars, it's different than Burnout, where you're just doing arcadey stuff to take people out, and it's different from the other games where you're trying to just avoid them, and it feels like you're never with a pack of cars. In this game, when you're with those pack of cars, it's like Tom Cruise at the end of Days of Thunder, man. It's what you wanted.
Sweaty palms.
Sweaty. I've never been. When I play this game, I'm squinting, my heart is pounding, I'm sweaty, but it's not.
It's like my first date.
It's like, well, did you say?
It's like my first date.
Yeah. It was phenomenal.
I think you guys are right, and I will reiterate again. The three of us, not simulation racing aficionados, we are all coming from very much of a place of not really knowing much about this particular genre. And we're going to talk about Forza later on this year when it comes out, or a month or so when it comes out. And it'll be interesting to see if this game in particular is something, or if we're just kind of getting
back into it. Yeah.
Although I think both games are doing similar things.
Let me say, I understand, again, as somebody who doesn't play a lot of these games, that line is not a unique feature to this game. But what is the genius of this game that I don't know if other games do, but is genius, is that the first thing you do is drive a track, and then the game suggests to you a level of proficiency. So it said to me, you have the driving skills of an infant, of an infant monkey. And which was fine for me, because that made the game structure itself in a way, put the line on the road, you know, turned off a collision to a certain point where it's like it's only cosmetic.
Yeah, I had that on. Just cosmetic.
Made the game fun and accessible for me, who is not somebody that can excel in these games at their, natural setting. And I think that is where this game welcomed me in a way that a lot of these kinds of games haven't done before.
It's interesting you brought that up, because I actually thought that mode was totally useless, because
what mode? The first one?
What you're talking about. I thought it was cool. Like, I was like, oh, that's cool.
Did you change the settings?
But then I did it, and then it had settings, and I played my first round. I was like, this is really, I was like, yeah, I sucked, because I just picked up the controller, and it's been a while since I played a racing game. Of course I'm gonna suck at that. And then, so I had to then go in and customize, and it's great, because you can customize, you can do all that awesome stuff. But it was just weird that it's like, don't gauge me on the, excuse me. Don't gauge me on like the first time I touch the controller and play a racing game in a few months. You know what I mean?
Well, I disagree with you wholeheartedly, Daniel.
Well,
I thought that was great. I also
awesome,
had a ton of fun, and it was the first type game like this that I've wanted to keep coming back to and play more of and have a lot of good time.
You had said before that I really related to, and that you almost don't like. I mean, I happen to tolerate it or whatever it is, but. You said you don't like. You said one day that you clued into not liking racing games because they stress you out too much. It sounds like that wasn't a factor with this.
No, absolutely, and maybe it was because I was playing on such an easy setting that the
line though, maybe.
Well, the line, yes, but I loved being in the pack of guys. Although getting spun out by somebody is still frustrating, but it's supposed to be frustrating.
And lots of different modes, right?
Yeah, lots of different kinds of racing, and a lot of different kinds of stats that it tracks for you.
And the manufacturer's race, where it's like, you remember all that car stuff? Don't worry about it.
We're giving you one.
Everybody has the same car. Go.